The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4188. There is an amendment at the desk, but without any objections, we will have the author of the amendment explain, or the author of the bill explain the bill first. Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please, my mistake. The Chief Clerk needs to report the bill.
House File Number 4188, an act relating to commerce, modifying various consumer protections for insurance and financial products.
Now, I can recognize the member from Anoka, Representative Cagle, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House File 4188 is the Commerce Omnibus Policy Bill. It really is focused on targeted consumer protections. There are four main provisions in this bill around, the first one's consumer protections. There's some broker-dealer changes. The third is unclaimed property, and then we have some technical changes. Excuse me, Article 1 in Sections 1 and 2 is the virtual crypto kiosk ban. And so what this does is this actually it prohibits operation of crypto ATMs statewide as of August 1st, 2026. It requires the removal of the machines, a full payout for customer funds, transfer of the funds to customer accounts or wallets, and blockchain verification. These machines are widely used to scam people, and they charge high fees and lack transparency. So if a product's being used to scam people, we will step in and stop it. It also, sections 4 through 6 deals with handling and record keeping, complaint handling and record keeping. So if something goes wrong, companies have to track it and deal with it. Section 7 is around telephone recording requirements. Conversations with customers have to be documented. And then there sections 9 through 11 are some student loan protections that we put in. And so we are able to better respond to issues here at the legislature and at the agencies. There are also some issues around insurance marketing protections, and so Section 16 through 19 deals with insurance lead generators. It brings modern online marketing into the regulatory framework and defines the companies generating online insurance industries. Section 20 bans deceptive insurance advertising, so it prohibits false, misleading, and deceptive advertising across the internet, email, and media. So this prevents consumers from being misled, and there are no more deceptive insurance ads. Also Section 21 is record-keeping requirements, requires these lead generators to maintain records of marketing practices and complaints. It enables enforcement and oversight, and so if you are marketing insurance, you must keep good records. License and industry oversight. We have a little provision in here that deals with bullion dealer transactions. So it clarifies when the transaction is considered a Minnesota transaction, defines its regulatory jurisdiction, and establishes when the Minnesota law applies. Sections 23 and 24 deal with appraisers and appraisal management companies, requires licensees to report changes in information, any legal judgments, disciplinary actions, or criminal charges. And so licensed professionals must report issues to regulators. Sections 25 and 26 deal with some scrap metal regulations, so it tracks scrap metal transactions to stop illegal activity. Section 27 is some clarifying language around collection agencies, so it ensures proper regulatory scope and clarifies who counts as a debt collector. We also have some provisions here around unclaimed property, how to improve how unclaimed property money is reported, tracked, and returned to its rightful owners. So bottom line, it stops crypto-related scams, protects student borrower loans, cracks down on deceptive insurance marketing, and improves the transparency and accountability across industries. So I will stand for any questions.
There's an amendment at the desk. The Chief Clerk will report the amendment.
Cagle moves to amend House File Number 4188, the first engrossment. The amendment is coded A3.
I recognize the member from Anoka, Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the A3 removes some tax provisions that are in the bill.
Any discussion to the amendment? I recognize the member from Stearns, Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I encourage a yes vote on the A3 amendment. It removes some tax provisions. This bill came very late to us from the department this session, and I've spoken to the tax chairs, and they will be taking these issues up, and if they remain germane, they are looking at carrying those in the tax bill. So it's appropriate to get this language out of the bill. So again, vote yes on the A3 amendment. Thank you, members.
Any further discussion to the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say nay. The amendment or the motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The chief clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 4188, as amended.
Third reading. Discussion. I recognize a member from Dakota, Representative Roach.
Thank you, Speaker. So there's a provision here that I'm not a huge fan of. I understand the fraud that goes on with the kiosks and the crypto machines, and I recognize that, and I think that's a problem. I would have loved to have further discussion about that. I think there's ways that we can regulate that by not allowing the inputs into those machines, but still allowing those small business owners to have those kiosk machines, and the people who own crypto to be able to sell or cash out of their digital wallets. So I think there was a way we could have fixed this, the fraud that goes on with those kiosk machines without totally getting rid of those in the state. And that is one of the reasons why I'm a no vote on this bill.
I recognize the member from Stearns, Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I encourage a yes vote on House File 4188 as amended. And there is a very important provision in here dealing with kiosks and the cryptocurrency. During committee, we had a number of members of law enforcement who had talked about the bill, talked about issues that were happening. Representative Perryman had folks in from St. Cloud. We had folks in from other areas. Members were talking about conversations they have with law enforcement. And folks, this is pretty important. Moments ago, Representative Perryman had a bill on the floor that talked about a trusted person that can be added to an account. And that's usually people who are older or are vulnerable. And that is exactly the group that's being targeted with this crypto kiosk. Used to be in the day, someone would get a phone call and they would say, "Grandma, this is so-and-so, your granddaughter, and we're on spring break and I need you to wire me $1,500 so that I can get back. I lost my ticket," or the car broke down, or what have you. And that money was scammed. This is the newest method of scamming. "Grandma, I need you to go down to the blank store and go to the crypto machine, and I need you to put money in. I need you to put this code in to be able to wire that money to me so that I can get home." It is a scam. And here's the problem that we have. And I'm going to save you a speech because I think this is coming up on Monday, because this is applicable for Monday for the standalone on this, and how important it is for this provision in House File 4188 as amended today. The population that is most vulnerable and is least likely to report this are the people who are age 65 and older. They're embarrassed. They feel bad about having been scammed, and they don't want their children and family to know about it. And depending upon the amount of money that has been scammed in this situation, can affect whether they can buy their medications, whether they can pay for food, whether they can pay for rent. And the committee debated whether there should be additional regulation on this, or should we ban those now and do some due diligence to see about bringing safeguards back on here. And for the protection of the public, we assumed at this point that it made sense to put the cap on this and then step back and look at additional regulation. It's projected by 2035 in the state of Minnesota, there will be more people age 65 or older than there are people age 18 and younger. Again, let that sink in. More people in the state of Minnesota age 65 and older than there are 18 years of age or younger. This is the target group of scammers. If you want to do something to help protect people in your district, and maybe even people that you know who have been victims but you don't know because of the shame they feel in reporting this, please vote yes on this bill. If you want to go ahead and let the scamsters continue to do their scamming, vote no. It's literally that simple. The other technical provisions that are in here are just that, policy, regulatory, technical provisions. We want to make sure that our senior population is taken care of. This bill, with this provision, takes care of that. As our population ages, and as the scamsters get better using technology and coming after people, the more this legislature owes that group of people, the 65 and older, the helping hand that they need. So again, strongly encourage a yes vote on House File 4188 as amended. Thank you, members.
I recognize the member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I rise today just to speak about a provision. I want to bring this to your attention, something that I think that we need to fix that was passed in 2023, and it regards the updates to the scrap metal copper site provision. I believe it was 2023 in the licensing, when they increased the license to $250, they also put in there a $500 late fee for that license. Now, you got a lot of folks that are doing just scrap metal, trying to get a little extra income into their families. I had a gentleman that came into my studio before we started session, and he let his license expire because he wasn't sure he was going to do it. He's elderly, has a big beard, he looked like someone from Hee Haw. But he thought, you know, he needs to have a little extra cash, and he wanted to get his license. Well, he realized that not only did they double the license, but because his license had expired, it's a $500 late fee, if you will, an expiration fee. That's no difference if your deer hunting license or your fishing license expired. There'd be no reason to have a $500 fee to let your scrap license expire. Many think that's ludicrous. He's not a doctor or a lawyer. He's a scrap metal. So it's a provision, it's a bill that I have right now. I wasn't in time to get an amendment, Representative Cagle, but I just want to bring that to your attention and maybe even ask if Representative Cagle would yield for a question regarding that provision as to why you put on a $500 late fee to someone who wants to do scrap metal. Now, I understand the news with people stealing copper and the legislation trying to prevent that, but this certainly doesn't help, and it hurts some of your smaller family scrap metal businesses or individuals that do this just for extra income. So, Mr. Speaker, would Representative Cagle yield for a question?
She will yield, Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Cagle, are you aware of that provision? And you're fixing now some of the language within your bill for the commerce. Are you aware of that provision a couple of years ago that has a $500 expiration fee, license fee? And if so, why was that put into law? What was the purpose of that?
Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative McDonald, I was not the chair of Commerce at the time, and so I cannot tell you the answer for that.
Representative McDonald.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Cagle, do you know anyone on your side that was the chair that could assist me in my question? Would anyone like to yield for that? Was it Representative Kraft? Representative Athena Hollins looks like she's waving her hand. She can address that. Yes, that's right. That was your bill.
She will yield, Representative McDonald. Representative Hollins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative McDonald. I was the chief author of that bill, and I will say I also found the late fee a little exorbitant. It was a recommendation from the Department of Commerce when we were working with them on the bill. Happy to have a conversation offline with you about the costs in general, but that was their recommendation, and they said they absolutely needed to do that in order to make that entire process feasible.
Representative McDonald.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Representative Hollins. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to help a constituent in my district, and I'm sure there's many in your districts. I appreciate your willingness to work on this. This is not a getcha kind of a question. It's just an issue that came up that I wasn't even aware of, and I'm glad that you, Representative Hollins, recognized that it seemed like a steep fine and for no reason in the first place. So just a recommendation from the Department of Commerce. So I'll continue to work on my bill, and I will indeed talk to you offline on this. With that, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker.
Any further discussion to the bill? I recognize the author of the bill, Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so House File 4188 as amended really focuses on real consumer harm. And so stopping crypto kiosk scams, protecting student loan borrowers when their loans are transferred, and cracking down on deceptive insurance marketing while strengthening transparency and accountability across key sectors. And so I really also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that our team Commerce. Chair O'Driscoll, it was really fun working with you. It was a great committee, and I think we've gotten some good work done, and we still have some more good work to do. So I'm excited to continue working with you on this. Too bad we found each other so late. I really want to thank our staff, our partisan staff, Eric Anderson, Sam O'Neill, and Alex Wheeler, my anti-crypto bro. And then definitely want to thank our GOP staff as well, Jesse McGirdle, Ben Fries, and Karen Hardwick. They've been great to work with, and it's been just a great committee. Our nonpartisan staff, Lori Pompu and Slovak Beckel, I really, really want to thank you guys as well. You always work so hard. Jesse and Ben will have to debrief about the draft tomorrow a little bit. And then it was so awesome working with all of the Commerce team. I really want to thank you all. And I also want to thank Alex's mom, Jenny, for always making sure that we had one viewer on our Commerce committee at 8:15. So thank you, members, so much. I appreciate it, and vote yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The chief clerk will call the name of the member voting remotely.
Momani Hildsley.
Momani Hildsley, aye.
Momani Hildsley votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 122 yeas and 12 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.